property predictions for 2026. Last year, I was pretty much right, so let's hope I'm on form this year as much as I was last year. Let's start with the landlord, shall we? Because it's been a tough time for landlords. We all know that for a number of years, and like many people, I've got a portfolio across the UK, and it's not performing incredibly well, to be honest with you, but here we go. So the Renters' Rights Act comes into force in April. That's going to make it harder to get vacant possession. It's going to be harder to get rent increases because they can only be once a year. So for landlords, this year is going to continue to be tough, I think. We've got to see how the Act actually works and how serious people take it in terms of the tenants. Are they going to appeal against every rent increase, which they can do, of course, and all the rest of it? It'll be a real learning curve this year in terms of tenants and landlords. And of course, the only ones to lose out really in the end are going to be the tenants, as always. So let's just see how that prediction goes. I think it's going to be tough. I think there'll be more landlords putting the properties on the market to sell them, which means there'll be opportunities for the ones who want to remain in that section of the market or become landlords. So let's just see how that goes. In terms of developments, the big 10 house builders, they will continue to jog along, I'm sure, building as many houses as they want to. They won't be bullied by the government in that respect. The new planning and infrastructure bill, which comes out very shortly, becomes law very shortly, in fact, the government think it's going to be a game changer. In my view, it will not be a game changer. Bill costs keep going up. Getting planning through the local authority is taking longer and longer and longer, and I don't see that changing. Sales remain relatively weak going forward, and loan extensions for smaller developers with bridging companies are very, very expensive. If you go over your banking mandate in terms of time, the amount they can charge, always look at the small print, the amount they can charge for you not paying the money back on time is huge in some cases. So be very, very careful when you're taking out these loans. For many small builders who build less than 100 houses a year, it's very, very demanding because build costs are continuing to rise, and there are certainly sites around at the moment where they're just not worth buying, because when you add the cost of the land they want, the price they want for the land, onto the build costs, and you wish to sell them, there's little return at all. So tough market continuing next year, I believe, for many developers. Now, there's light at the end of the tunnel for commercial. There really is. I don't think it's a train coming in the other direction either. I think it's genuine. And the reason for that is, at the moment, shops pay 75% of commercial rates in the UK, but they only occupy 25% of the properties. After April, that is changing. So commercial rates for shops is coming down. So that will really help shops in the high streets, and which is really important, especially as I've got a number of them for a start. So I'm delighted to hear that news. We don't quite know how much they're coming down, but certainly that will give the high street a real push. People, investors and tenants with warehousing and things like that, those rates are going up substantially. So just be a little bit more careful about buying warehouses and so on. It's been the prime investment in the last few years with Amazon and all these other companies needing storage spaces, but just be a little bit careful on that one. But certainly shops, I think there's huge opportunities in that marketplace. I really, really do. And I'm trying to buy as many shops, commercial properties as I can at the moment at the right money, and the right money is very, very cheap. So still be cautious, but I think that is a market that is going to improve. In terms of planning, well, we mentioned the planning and infrastructure bill that's coming out, or the law that's it will be an act by then. It's coming out next year, early next year, this year I should say. And I think the government think that's going to be the be and end all of everything changing in the planning world. In my view, it won't be. The grey belt, this is land that technically is green belt, but is pretty, useless green belt. In other words, it's not pretty, it's not in a beautiful landscape. It's something that can be built on. But what they're saying about grey belt is that it's going to come with a 50% social housing requirement. So that is going to kill it if they're not careful at all. So, they're giving with one hand and they're probably taking away with another. As I said, it's taking longer and longer in order to get planning. There's more and more red tape, not less red tape. There's more and more, and I don't see this Planning Act changing that at all, I'm afraid. We've got a very, very naive government, and they really don't understand property at all. Residential sales market, a bit more good news here. With interest rates coming down, and I think predictions could be perhaps another 0.25%, 0.25% cuts next year. Property is certainly looking more attractive to investors as well as the home buyer. We own a number of estate agents across East Anglia, and we are predicting in that market that we sell more than we have this year. So that's good news. I think in the south of the country, we will see an increase in property prices. In the Midlands, I think it might be even better than that, and up north, better still again. So I think there will be some modest increases in property prices. Now, if you listen to Rightmove, they'll say, well, every year there's a property increase of 0.2% or so, 2%. That's a nonsense, because to be honest with you, that's across the whole country. So, it means nothing. I'm talking about probably slightly higher increases than that, I'm hoping. That is apart from London, because London is a very tough market at the moment for everyone. And without stamp duty being lifted for first-time buyers over 300,000, which they were talking about doing in the budget, that's a big blow to the London market. They haven't lifted it to 500,000, which was predicted. So I think the London market is going to still be a bit of a struggle. However, I've got some news for you all. I can't tell you where it's come from, and I can't tell you that it's official yet, but I will be doing a YouTube film about it in the next few weeks. And that is, there is talk of the government looking to find a way of supporting first-time buyers. Now, that is massive news. If it happens, it'll be the second half of the year, I believe, and I think actually the property market will increase and get better as the year goes on. That's my prediction. And one of the other reasons it might get better is because our friend Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves could be gone by the end of May if the local elections are as bad as people think they're going to be. Both of them could be gone. Now, that might sound great news to many, many property investors and developers out there, but sometimes it's dangerous, because you might end up with a more radical, more left-wing government than you've got now. So some people are saying, well, let's keep old Keir in government and in power a bit longer, because what comes after him could be a lot worse. Well, let's see. That's one of my predictions for the year. And the conclusion is more landlords exiting the market, property market improving, Keir Starmer going, as I've said, and Rachel Reeves as well, interest rates continuing to fall, and major opportunities in the property market, especially in commercial, for people, especially investors who aren't borrowing too much money, because I have found that many developers are finding it difficult to sell their projects and taking longer to get planning in order to turn the money over. So there are more opportunities, because many developers and investors can't refinance, so they can't go on to the next deal. So if you're not in that situation, you have got great opportunities. Good luck to everyone.